Do it.
Welcome back to Action Jack-Offs, the show where we talk about the very best and favorite action movies of all time. My God, Lincoln, it has been a minute.
We're, we're back.
We're back. It's been like,
It's starting to feel like I'm back.
yeah, it's been about 2 weeks.
Just about.
It's a little over 2 weeks, I think. It's been like 15 days.
We've had to start digging into the Ben 10 content.
Yeah, you like that? You like how I've been doing that?
I love it. I want more of it.
I'm gonna post another one.
Dude, I
About
want
about
I
my
want to be
favorite
in one.
ones.
Just tell me.
Oh, you want to be in
You
one?
just let me know. Just let me know. I got some takes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, next time I see you, I'll get your audio. Anyway,
There we go.
this week's movie is going to be RoboCop from 1987, um, starring Peter Weller as RoboCop himself, Nancy Allen, uh, and the one I always think of the most whenever I think about this movie, Kurtwood Smith. It's Clarence Boddicker.
Our boy Red.
Yeah.
He'll
Um,
always be Red Foreman to me.
and I always think of him as kind of like the front-facing villain of the movie. Like he's not the guy pulling the strings behind everything. That's um what's his name? Ronnie Cox as Dick Jones. Ronnie Cox, who we know from Beverly Hills Cop, who we saw him
Oh, yeah,
first.
he was there.
He was there. We saw him there.
Being less of a stick in the mud.
Yeah, less of an asshole, to tell you the truth. And then now we've got him here as the main bad guy. But I always think of Kurtwood Smith as kind of like the bad guy of the movie. You
He's the
know,
muscle.
he's the muscle, but he's also
He's the
like
muscle. He's the gangster.
he's the gangster, but he's also the one that RoboCop has the most personal story with. You know?
Yeah, because he shot him up. He tortured him.
Yeah, he's the one that
He
really.
made him into the monster that he was.
Yeah, he's the one that put him in this situation. It's kind of like a Batman Joker dichotomy from the Batman '89 movie, greatest movie of all time.
Oh yeah. Eh.
One of my favorite
Second one's
movie of all
better.
time. I think that's up for
There
debate.
you go.
That's up for debate.
Hey, we
Uh,
can. Hey, we can have a debate.
I mean, whenever we talk about Batman, whenever Batman becomes something to talk about, we'll talk about it. Speaking,
Sure, it's under the action category somewhere.
oh, for sure, for sure. Um, but yeah, so yeah, Kurtwood Smith, he's definitely the one that RoboCop has the most beef with, and I think that his journey throughout the movie is directly tied to Kurtwood Smith's character, Boddicker. Um, but obviously you have Ronnie Cox, who's Dick Jones, and he's got like his own thing going on. I guess I don't know. He's kind of like I think he's like more of the boring corporate douchebag. I don't really like him that much,
He
but I do.
wanted his droids to work.
Yeah, his Ed 209, which by the way,
God, did those look really good? Those were some beautiful special effects.
is that sarcasm or are you being serious?
No, that was actually one of the
Okay, okay.
pullaways that I really
You have
enjoyed
you
was
have resting
though it is
sarcasm
still
voice.
I just have never sound sincere. It's one of my curses.
Yeah.
No, but I really did genuinely enjoy the stop motion animation because it's like really clean stop motion. It's
Yeah.
not like all wonky and clay looking. Like it looked really sleek and really clean. I was like, oh, it's like the real precursor to CGI.
Yeah. I think that's some of the advantage of the subject of what the stop motion is, like it being a robot. It's able to move more mechanically without having to look organic, which I think is some of the
Yeah, like it really
challenges.
works for the medium.
Yeah, I think that's some of the challenges that animators have when it comes to stop motion is that when depending on what it is that you're trying to animate, uh, if you're trying to do like a dinosaur, you're trying to do like a snake, or you're trying to do something organic, it can be a lot harder to make it come off not, stiff when in the motion. But when you're doing something like a robot, it's a lot easier to get away with the more mechanical aspects of it because it's a mechanical subject, you know. So I think that's why the Ed 209s really, you know, work and stand out. I also just think the effects in this movie are just kind of good overall.
Most of them. There was only like a few wonky parts when they like green screen Robocop into scenes
Yeah. Well, there
where
is
I was
that one.
like, he's not really there. That looks bad.
No, I mean, there's also that one effect at the very end of the movie where Dick Jones gets, he gets shot out of the window, and then he falls down, and like you see him, and it's like this weird, like I guess it's stop motion. It's like this, his arms are like extra long. He's like falling. It's not a very good effect. You know what I'm talking about?
No,
Yeah. Um,
but I enjoyed it because it looked silly.
but it does. Yeah, there's some aspects of it. This is so. This is Paul Verhoeven, who also did Total Recall.
Verhoeven.
Yeah, and he has like that specific style where he makes things like weird and goofy, and like it works within the context of like the universe he crafts. Um, like I always think about how in this movie there's like that running joke of the guy on the TV who keeps saying I'd buy that for $1.
And then people say it throughout the movie as well.
Yeah, and then people are like, whenever they see it on TV, they're just like laughing their ass off, or it's just something so stupid and
Mm-hmm.
goofy, and it's like, where does that, you know, what universe does that work in a movie? And it works fine in this movie, and it's just kind of like the style that they run with, and there's kind of like, uh, there is like a bit of like humor to everything, even when something's supposed to be serious. Like I always think about how like RoboCop is a very serious character, and yet he does do goofy things, but they also like work within what the movie is trying to accomplish, like its themes and stuff. Um, like if you'll
Yeah,
just,
like the opening credits very much set up the theme of the movie is going to be like very dry, dark humor.
yeah, like if you'll permit me, I just have like this like small good rant to go on.
I mean, hey, go ahead. This is your time for rants, buddy.
I
This
just
is
can't.
when I literally put a microphone in front of your face and go, "Tell me what you feel."
Yeah, because I mean, I just have so many like positive feelings about this movie. I grew up with this movie. I
Hey,
mean, go ahead.
right before you go into your little rant, I have one more thing to say.
Go ahead.
This movie is like a solid 5 out of 10,
You're
dude.
so ass. You had to pull that right before I go into everything I like about this movie. You piece of shit.
I just had to.
You piece of
Fuck you.
shit. I hate you.
I love you so much.
How are you going to make me talk
All
about how
right,
much I
tell me
love
how
you
good, how
before we
much you
start
love
the
this.
podcast? And then you do this shit and make me hate you.
Uh-huh. I
Anyway,
waited too. I
you're
waited.
such a
I bid
prick.
my time.
You're such a prick. I hate it. Like, you're the fucking worst.
All right, gush over the movie already.
All right. So, anyway, one of the things that I really love about this movie is like the theme about recapturing one's sense of humanity. And I always think about how there's, and this ties into like what I was talking about with Paul Verhoeven's like weird humor, like the kind of like it mixes in with the seriousness and then mixes in like these weird moments of lightheartedness, but like lightheartedness that almost seems like out of the ordinary for whatever the context is. But then there's like an element to it that really ties really well into the theme. And I always think about that scene where RoboCop shows up at the police station for like the first time, and he's like shooting his gun, and everybody's like watching him. They're like, "Oh man, he's great. He's so cool." And you got people around him. They're like, "Oh man, this guy's great." And they're like, "He's not a man. He's a machine." Even though he's got like man parts and stuff. But anyway, they're looking at him, and Lewis, who is RoboCop's partner in the movie and like his best friend and stuff, is looking at him, and then she notices that when he goes to holster his weapon, he spins his gun around and then holsters it. And that's the first thing that makes her think that it's because you're not supposed to know yet, but that's what makes her think it's Alex Murphy, who had been turned into RoboCop. And I love that moment where he spins the gun, because this is before he's completely recaptured his humanity. This is so early on in the movie, and it's basically him showing that there's still small traces of him in there. It's basically a movie where it's about a guy who's had literally everything stripped from him. He's had his body stripped of him, he's had his family stripped of him, and then most importantly, he's had his humanity completely ripped from him. And it basically comes down to, what can he do to get that back? Is he going to get revenge? Does that help him get it back? Is he going to look deep inside of himself? Is he going to contact his family? What's going on with this guy, and how is he going to reclaim what he's lost? And I think that theme is just so well persistent throughout the movie. Like, all the different times that he has to try and go against directives, he's trying to go against his own programming, he's trying to go against all the robot elements that make him up now, and try and really focus in and hone in on the human elements. But yeah, that's just kind of like my main feelings on the movie. Like, I just really love how well it's done, because it is just really well done. It's something that I really appreciate about this movie. So why don't you go ahead and just tell me what it is you don't like about this movie?
So I'll go ahead and say that this is a movie that I should like.
Okay.
But I just fundamentally don't.
It just doesn't do anything for you?
It's got all the... It just doesn't do it for me. It's got all the themes. It's got the action. It's got the gore. It's got the bureaucracy and business subplots that I... Good God, do I love a good bureaucracy subplot about the damnation of a city. But it just doesn't do nothing. It's
That's
just
so
boring.
sad.
Found
That's
myself
so sad.
trying to keep my phone away from me. Maybe it's that I just saw this movie too late. But even when I was younger and I saw this movie, I was like, that's the bad robot movie.
That's the one you don't like.
That's the one I don't like.
That's not
but
Terminator.
It's all right. I'm here. I watched. It's not Terminator exactly. It's not Total Recall either, which is the better.
I was gonna say
the better of his films.
That's the one. That's basically.
Because I love Total Recall.
I love Total Recall too. Like, I would say,
like, that's my Paul Verhoeven.
Yeah, they're on the same. For me, they're on the same wavelength. Like, I really appreciate both movies. But I think it's so funny that you like Total Recall as much as you do, but you don't really have any strong feelings for Robocop.
I just don't, and I wish I did.
It's so sad because I think
I want to get there. It's just Monkey Shines, but not as good,
Oh my God! Don't even.
It's a guy gets into a terrible accident. He's trying to reclaim his humanity, but instead of through a monkey, it's through technical organics, cyborganics.
Oh my God! You're right. I never believed it before.
Monkey to death.
Why have I never seen the signs?
Chewing the monkey to death. Instead of chewing the monkey to death by the neck and swinging him around viciously, he has to overcome the cyber organics that have been placed inside of him and take back what is his. But what I really do enjoy is that at the end he doesn't get his family back or his body or anything.
Yeah, like
that's one of the biggest positives that I do enjoy.
That's definitely one of those things about the movie that it just makes sense. Like, it's not supposed to be a typical happy ending. Why would he? Exactly. Like, everything is like so far gone for him, and like because like I said, like, the main point of the movie is not that he gets his family back or that he gets his body back. Those things are gone. It's about getting his humanity back. It's about being able to recapture the elements that make someone human that are outside of things of the emotional standards or things of the physical standards. He's got to become human through some sort of mentality.
By upholding the law.
By upholding the law. Watch Robocop.
By any means necessary.
As he gets back his soul.
Shooting people through skirts.
Oh, that was badass. Can we talk about some of the badass moments in this movie? That. Like, let's really just like
We'll talk
dissect
about
them.
that. Let's dive in.
Let's dive
What
into
I
some of the cool
really
stuff.
one of the badass moments that I did enjoy is that he just throws the fucking former mayor from the window.
Yeah,
Who he's like the former mayor is like holding up the current mayor because the election didn't go the way he wanted, and he's
yeah.
like holding up the whole cabinet or whatever, and he just busts through the wall and he's like, "Justice is served." He doesn't say that, but I imagine he would, and he throws him at the window.
He breaks through the wall, and Chris Jericho theme starts playing. Break the walls.
Break down the wall.
Yeah, no.
That's so funny. Y2J.
Yeah, no. He's great. I think about scenes like that where he goes like super over the top to like help save the day, or like when he's like helping out that convenience store that's being held up, and that guy is like shooting him, and he just walks up and he twists the gun barrel, and then the guy tries to run past him, and he swings around, clotheslines him, and the guy goes flying into one of like the refrigerators.
Dude, just like JBL used to.
Yeah, so fucking badass.
That's
Um,
two wrestling references,
that's
guys.
two. We got two for you. Let's just call it the wrestling podcast. This is Action Jack-0ffs, the wrestling podcast. No, but seriously,
Can we just start doing podcasts about?
we should
Can we just start
do
doing podcasts about old WrestleManias?
we should do that would be sick. But we should do movies that take
Just starting
place.
at one.
Mwah. Love you. Good night. We should just do movies that star wrestlers. Like we should do The Marine with John Cena. You know, action
They Live
movies.
and The Descent
Yes, we
or
should
The
do They
Condemned. Do you know
Live.
what's a really good one?
What's a good one?
Do you know what's the sneaky best one is Damage, starring Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I've not heard of that one.
Oh, buddy, this is like one of those that I found at a $5 bin or something,
It's good.
and it's Steve Austin. Steve Austin just got out of jail, and he has to help pay for the daughter of the man he killed's heart transplant, so he becomes an underground street fighter.
That sounds badass.
Isn't that just the best?
That sounds so badass.
Isn't that just the best
We
selling
should
point?
do. We should definitely at some point before the show ends, inevitably, we should
Just
definitely
the wrestler month.
we should just do a wrestler month. Like get 3 or 4 movies that are pretty well known or like just good, and just they're obviously they feature like really famous wrestlers, and just do that.
So
think
we're doing like 12 rounds,
12
Damage.
rounds, Damaged, The Marine. We can even do like some of the Rock movies, like The Rundown, where he does.
Oh, dude, The Rundown's actually a good movie.
The Rundown's a fucking great movie. Sick and nasty.
That's a really dumb good movie.
I really love.
That's
The
a good
Rundown.
FX movie too.
Oh, that's a classic on
It's
FX.
another one of those. That's another one of those movies that I was like, oh, this is. Why doesn't this get an Oscar?
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Marvelous Misadventures in the chat.
Look who finally decided to show up.
What's up, Marv? Good to see you, bud. We're just talking
How's it
about
going?
Robocop. Robocop is on the mind today. Obviously, we're talking about like other stuff, but we are talking about 1987 Robocop. This kind of makes me wonder about Robocop. Obviously, like another thing that makes Robocop great is that he beats up the like. So I think about how like there's Robocop and then there's the Ed 209s, and the Ed 209s are just like these bumbling, fucking terrible pieces of shit robots. But what makes them successful? What makes Robocop successful in comparison is the fact that he's part human, which I always thought really was another great thing that really ties into like the humanity conquering the machine aspect theme really well. Yeah, the opening when he gets blown up is absolutely insane. One of the greatest opening deaths for a main movie character ever.
It reminds me of when Ben Stiller is getting fake shot up at the beginning of Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
But if they just changed the music to make it more dramatic.
Yeah. I wonder if that's
Because I know
any
what
at
they're
all
making fun of is
inspired.
Platoon.
Yeah, because Platoon was also in '87, wasn't it?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Platoon,
Google,
1986.
Google. Even before, just a little bit. So
Yeah,
they probably saw that and were like, we can double that up.
yeah, for sure. Um,
It's just back when people used to think that you could take 100 rounds and still be standing.
yeah, yeah. What do you think about the remake of RoboCop from 2014?
Oh, it's way better.
Way better. What the fuck are you talking about?
Dude, that's cinema right there.
All right, now I know you're using your bullshit sarcastic voice.
Yeah, I am. No, I
You
haven't. I don't think
freak.
I've ever actually finished that one.
Let me give you my brief.
That one, the Total Recall and RoboCop remakes have got to be just dog shit.
They're not good. I think the Total Recall remake is actually like um it's got like its own strengths and weaknesses. I don't think it's as good as Paul Verhoeven's Total Recall, but
They don't even go to Mars, dude.
no. Well, I mean, it's more closely related to the book, from what I understand.
Book
Um,
schmuck.
book
Get
schmuck
that
my
out of my
ass.
face.
Yeah. Um, but yeah. The remake of RoboCop. I'll give you my brief account of what I thought about that movie, just like my
Hit me with
experience. So I went to the theater to see it
it.
because I'm a huge fan of the original, as I've already stated. But I went to go and
Lame.
see that movie in theaters, and I think once the movie was over, I actively booed. Like I stood up and booed because I was I was really cringe back then, and so like I did what I thought was right, and I booed the movie that I paid to see.
Hey, you stand on your rights, buddy.
Yeah, and I just remember watching it. So it's got that guy, whose name I always forget. He's Rick Flag in the Suicide Squad movies, but he was RoboCop, and I don't think he was bad. I just think if he's not given good material, he can be a boring actor. I think Samuel L. Jackson is woefully underutilized in the movie. Michael Keaton is just like your typical mustache twirling villain in the movie. He's nowhere near as good as the Dick Jones character in the original. And that guy's just a schmarmy
Joel Kinnaman.
asshole. Joel Kinnaman. Yeah. Who I hope to cover one of his movies later down the line for Christmas if I can get my hands on it.
I like him quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean I like him. Like I said, like he's good when he's given good material, but when he's not, he's
Gary
he's
Oldman's
he's
in
boring.
that one.
Gary Oldman, he's the main scientist in the RoboCop
Yeah, he's
remake.
Norton. That's so funny.
You've also got uh you just got like a lot of shit, and that movie it's so lifeless. I think is the main thing that sets it apart. It's lifeless. It tries to do like a lot of the same commentary that the original did. Like the original is super commentary heavy, and it doesn't try to be that subtle with it. Like it's got commentary on TV propaganda, commercialization, industrialization. What's another one? What's another ization that the movie does? It's like, what is it?
Gentrification.
Gentrification. That's what it is. Just trying to turn old cities into new cities and then just beat people
Get rid of all
down.
the crime and bullshit.
Yeah, and the remake is basically all that and a bag of chips, but like it just does it so pish poshy. Like it's such a little pissant about it, and it's not clever. It's
I
not.
think this is another reason that I wasn't into these at all is because I feel like all of that was too heady for me when I was watching these when I was younger.
What do you mean, like too preachy?
Yeah, like not that it was too preachy, but that I like didn't get it.
Oh, I gotcha. Like it's like it. Not to say that it like went over your head, but it just like doesn't necessarily like apply to
Yeah,
you.
but that's like Yeah, because I was like, watching Predator and Terminator and all those, and then was like, what is this?
Well, that's so funny to me that you say that because I was a kid when I saw this. I saw the original, and I always think to myself, like, it has, I think the strength of movies that are like Terminator, that are like Predator, and that are like RoboCop is that even if you don't get some of the subtext, like if like the nuances just don't really land for you, you can still look at it and be like, dude, that's fucking badass because that's a goddamn robot. That's a RoboCop that shoots people with his
Oh
cool
yeah,
robot gun. Or, you know,
oh yeah, and
that's
I still enjoyed those parts,
or
but I was
that's
like, it was like one of those where I was like, I could fast forward all of this.
and not really miss anything.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand.
especially not now because I was just like, this is kind of boring when I was watching it now. Like the first hour I was into, and then after that I was like, eh. But I definitely remember being younger and being like, I would rather watch Total Recall. I'd rather watch Aliens.
Let
Like some of this is just too like
to
either too preachy or I just was like, eh. Like I'd rather like I don't need to watch a bunch of people in suits or a bunch of people on the news.
I think that uh like if I were going to try and look at it from your perspective here, let me try this. I think the movie has one of the best setups. I think it has one of the best first like 45 minutes that a movie can have. And then I think the rest of it is kind of hit or miss for general audiences, let's say. I think it's great.
For sure.
I think from start to finish it's great. But if I were to look at it from someone else's perspective, I'd probably say objectively, in a more objective sense, without any bias, the first 45 minutes to an hour is probably like where all the best stuff happens. And then the rest of the movie is kind of hit or miss for some people, I'd say. Like,
For sure.
I think you start really strong,
Like Full Metal Jacket.
like Full Metal Jacket, like exactly, like that movie. First half of that movie, classic. Second half of the movie, people don't fucking remember it.
Everybody agrees. And the rest of it divisive.
Yes. Now with RoboCop, I think this is done by design. You start the Alex Murphy character. You don't really get him right off the bat. He's not really like a good character, but I think that's by design, personally. But I could see how somebody would watch it and be like, I don't know who this guy is. I don't really understand his journey. I don't understand his motivations. But I think that's kind of part of the point is that you're not supposed to really understand or get to know Alex Murphy when he's first introduced. Like you're supposed to know like little bits and pieces of him, like who the man is at a surface level. And then whenever we get to the parts where he's RoboCop, that's when you're supposed to start. That's when like the audience, along with the character of RoboCop, are supposed to then in turn piece together who this character is. So I think at the start of the movie, that's by design. You're not supposed to know who Alex Murphy is, but I can understand that maybe it's not engaging enough for audiences. But starting
It's
with
supposed to mean that RoboCop is all of us.
we are RoboCop.
He could be any of us. He's in us.
He's like the force. He's in us. He's around us. He penetrates us.
He's
But
a bunch of microscopic organisms that if you have a lot of makes you the strongest.
exactly. Now, I think
Midi
so I think it starts really well.
chlorians.
I think it starts really well. And then you have that scene where Alex Murphy gets completely blown to Kingdom Come, which is a great scene. And then you get to the parts where he becomes RoboCop, and I think the entire sequence of him becoming RoboCop, I think is just a masterclass because we never see what he looks like until his full reveal at the police station. And I think that's just genius. I think it works so well. And
And the montage is fantastic.
and then you have the montage of him going out and doing all the different stuff, like saving that woman from being assaulted, saving the convenience store, saving the mayor, all that stuff. And then from there is kind of like, I feel like where the movie may or may not hit for people. So that's like what, 30 minutes? 30 to 45 minutes? That's probably like 30 minutes,
Yeah,
I think.
because it's about, I looked at it, it's about exactly an hour when I started getting bored, and it's like right after that, there's like a boardroom scene or two, and then um like the bad guys all getting together and talking, and I was like, ah, and this is where it's gonna lose me.
Yeah. Yep, it always comes back to a room full of suits and then the movie loses you. I'm trying to think if there's ever a point where this movie loses me. But I don't think so. Um yeah, I don't think so. I don't think there's a single moment where I looked at my phone and was like, "Oh my god, can we just get to the next scene?" I don't have that problem. I don't have that problem. I had that problem with the remake, but I don't
Well,
have
it's
that
because
problem with
you
this
watch
movie.
movies 20 minutes at a time.
Oh, fuck off. I do what I have to do.
Hey man, I did what I had to do. I watched half of it yesterday and half of it today.
I gotcha. Sometimes that's just what you got to do. Like sometimes you have to watch a movie 20 minutes at a time. Sometimes you have to watch a movie in a whole sitting just so you like if you have the time to watch the movie, you have to do it like right then and there. Um
Hey, and I had the time and I just couldn't do it.
you couldn't make it.
I just couldn't. I was like,
Hey, you got to admit
I
like
can. I have time tomorrow.
you got to admit there's that really cool scene towards the end where he's fighting Boddicker, like he's fighting Kurtwood Smith, and Kurtwood Smith is like beating the shit out of Robocop, and then Robocop he makes his like USB port come out of his fist and stabs him right in the neck.
Stabs him.
Yeah, and just like spills his neck guts all over the
I
place.
like that fight.
That's a good fight. I
I
love
like a lot of the movie. It
I
just doesn't work as a cohesive unit for me.
okay, so I'm gonna try something here. Do you think the movie works well as a clips movie? Like if you were to just
Yeah,
watch clips
like I
from the
like
movie,
for sure. I think it has to do something with the editing for me.
maybe. Because I'm trying to think about like all the different technical aspects of the movie that may or may not work for somebody. Like how whether or not there's a lot of scenes of people just driving in cars, or there's a lot of scenes of people just like walking between spaces, or there's like those scenes where the criminals are like talking about their drugs or something, and or there's a lot of like cutting back to that gang, like Kurtwood Smith's gang of like misfits, his criminal gang, and he's just like it's just like these goobers who are just gabbing about bullshit. And it's like I like them. I
I think
personally
it's just
like
that
them, but I don't know.
I think it's not necessarily at the movie, but that none of the characters are endearing enough for me to care.
Right. Yeah,
Because
I
like,
think that sounds like a big problem. Like if you don't latch on, like RoboCop is supposed to be the sponge, right? And
yeah,
if you don't latch on to him, if you're not really
and
absorbed
he's
in
just
whatever
so
he's
bland.
yeah, I was about to say if you're not absorbed in whatever he's going through, you're probably not gonna. There's not really anybody else to really get into unless it's like one of the villains.
Because I'm even thinking about like Total Recall. Like I'm so invested in Arnold Schwarzenegger's like journey in that, and it's because like that's just such a more interesting characterization, I guess.
Yeah,
Like there's so much more life, and not necessarily that because he's a robot, but that like there's just so much more energy.
I feel that. Yeah,
Like you were saying, like I can fine if a movie is people driving and like most of Reservoir Dogs, which is like one of my more favorite, just people talking in cars or talking in space in like one space.
right. Yeah,
But
I
I'm more
mean,
interested in characters, I guess.
yeah, I
And
mean,
most of these characters are just very bland, very surface level.
I think that ties back to what I was talking about. How the goal of the movie is to rediscover the character of who RoboCop is along with the audience. Like RoboCop's trying to figure out who he is the same way the audience is trying to figure out who he is. And I guess that kind of makes it to where we're dealing with a blank slate. You know, we don't have
It's
any.
reverse
It's
characterization.
reverse characterization. Whereas we're introduced to a character, and then we're basically like, let's tie it, since Total Recall keeps coming up. We'll tie it directly to Total Recall. In Total Recall, we're given the characterization for Arnold's character, right? What's his name in the movie again?
I am not sure.
Quaid.
1 second.
Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, Quaid.
No, Jack Quaid. Wait, what's his name?
No, Dennis Quaid's an actor.
I know. damn me. But it's
Yes,
Quaid.
Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid. Okay.
And the point of that movie is that it gives us a characterization that we learn is false.
Yes. But and yeah, that's true. But we're given his characterization. We know his character's his identity is what's false. And so the character throughout the movie does not change. What changes is his perception of who he is. But he is still the same type of guy from the beginning. He's still like this wide-eyed, naive guy who just dreams of something more. And then when he gets it, he doesn't know what to do with it. And I think that movie plays really well. That movie plays with the idea of alternate identities, whereas Robocop plays with the idea of lost identity. Robocop, and the difference is that Robocop had a character, lost his character, became a totally different character, and had to rediscover his identity to become that character again. You know, he's still Alex Murphy. Alex Murphy is still in there somewhere. And that's why by the end of the movie, when the head of OCP is like, hey, what's your name, son? And instead of turning around and be like, my name's Robocop or whatever, he goes, my name's Murphy. You know, I'm Murphy. So he is recapturing his character of Alex Murphy. The problem is that Alex Murphy is a stranger to us. Whereas Jack Quaid, we know who Jack Quaid is. We get a sense of who Jack Quaid is. Yeah, every so often, you know, he suddenly has martial arts mastery or he's an expert at tech and weapons and stuff, but that doesn't change who he is.
Sometimes he's pulling big things out of his nose.
Exactly. Sometimes he is just a big special effects head that explodes. But you get what I'm saying.
All I'm saying is that Johnny Five from Short Circuit has more character development.
Oh my god. Well, I just think that.
But you have sold me on more of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that I have to even try and like sell you on it. Like, I wish it just kind of like flowed.
I wish it did it for itself, you know. But I've tried. I've tried.
I mean, sometimes it just be like that though.
It does.
You know,
And I'm not even. I thought I was coming in here like before I watched it. I thought I was gonna come in here and just be like, God, this movie just sucks. But you can't even really do it. It just doesn't work for me.
Right. It's not like it's one of those movies.
There's parts of it that do.
Yeah. It's not like it's even one of those movies that you can sit there and say, "Oh man, I hated this about the movie." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like maybe that part just didn't really work for me.
Like there's not even like parts of it that I'm like this is why. It's more of just like it just doesn't hit.
Yeah. I try to think to myself, does you know what's something that does not work for me in the movie?
What's that?
When Robocop takes his helmet off. And it's like
see, it didn't bother me as much. I just thought it was silly.
It just looks weird. Like it's like the skin goes back and it's like it like laps over like that circuitry or whatever. That just looks so weird, dude.
Just put it
Weird,
back
weird
on.
design choice for sure. And he doesn't wear the helmet for the rest of the movie after that. So goofy.
Yeah, this is why they
Just
just
why?
wanted to do something different.
It's definitely different. You know what I heard about the movie is that the Peter Weller, he had to wear the RoboCop suit, and apparently the suit weighed like 150 pounds or something. Super heavy. It was made out. I forget what it was made of, but it
That's
was
why he's
like
walking all silly.
that's why he's walking. That's why he walks like a tank. It's because he is. Because he's actually turned into a tank.
This literally could break a wall.
Yeah. Yeah, but I also like the fact that like you mentioned earlier, I like that he does not. I think that's what I like about Paul Verhoeven stories is that there's not really a sense of finality to them. Like there's never a point in the story where you just say like definitively this story is wrapped up with clear-cut answers. You know, at the end of RoboCop, when the movie ends and it's like, oh, he doesn't get his family back, he doesn't get his body back. What happens now? You know, there's no, well, this happens or well,
Sequels, baby.
sequels, baby. I think about the same thing happens in Total Recall too. Like in Total Recall, uh, at the end of the
It's a
movie,
very artistic, open-ended ending.
yeah, he's like, "What if this is all a simulation? Like, what if none of this is real?" And the lady's like, "Dude, who gives a shit?" You know, it's kind of like
It's
the
like the end
same.
of. It's like the end of
The end of what?
Inception. Sorry, I don't know if I cut out or if I.
Yeah, exactly. It bookends really well. Um,
Where he spins the top and he doesn't look back to see if it falls or not.
yeah, but I don't know. With RoboCop, I just think from start to finish, we got ourselves a good movie here. And if you have any like final riffs on it, you want to like get out of the way. That's fine with me.
Nah, it ripped itself, you know?
Yeah, it sure did. Yeah, I mean, we talked about the action. We talked about the themes. I think that's so interesting to me. So I think I think this movie fits into a very unique category of films that I also think Demolition Man falls into, oddly enough, where it's like a movie about it's like an action movie. It's like a movie that's like a really smart, clever um, commentary disguised as an action movie.
As well as The Running Man.
Running Man, Total Recall, Demolition Man, and RoboCop. I think all fit into this weird category of movies that are like, yeah, we have action in us, but we are more trying to say something about something. Like how in Demolition Man, it's about a guy displaced in time trying to understand the ever changing future. And it's an action movie. It's a dumb action movie on top of that. And then Robocop, it's about a guy who's trying to recapture his lost humanity, but he also like shoots people in the dick and stuff. But yeah, that's
Did that one writer guy try to sue this?
let me see.
You know what I'm talking about? The
He,
guy is like in Terminator and all of
uh,
these movies where he's
oh,
just like, that was my
the
idea.
guy from the guy like when we were talking about it in Terminator, there was a guy that sued because he thought that the story was like
It,
very similar to his. It was. Are you talking about the one that I
it was
said
like
was in an?
Future Soldier or something.
Yeah, you're talking about the one I mentioned from that was in that episode of The Outer Limits. I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, yeah.
I remember.
I feel
Um,
like this is ripe for that guy to come back and be like, hey.
I want to say that that is something that happened. Uh, but I can't be certain. If I had the time, I'd look through it. I'd look through everything just to see. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
can't.
fine.
I can't be
I just
certain.
thought that would be a funny rip to be like, hey, remember that one guy?
Hey, this movie was also a rip on something. But I mean, the only thing I can think of is that, I mean, is it safe to say that RoboCop is in many ways inspired by the Terminator?
I mean, it has to be, right?
Well, it says here, director Paul Verhoeven credits James Cameron's The Terminator with the success of RoboCop. Orion Pictures, the production company of RoboCop, was initially founded with the purpose of making quality movies instead of profitable blockbusters. Shortage of money forced them to produce The Terminator, which they saw as a low-budget production that might have some quick profit. But since this was not the type of movie they liked to be associated with, the studio did very little marketing for the film. When Terminator became an unexpected hit, the studio was convinced that science fiction could be profitable. So RoboCop was quickly greenlit, and Verhoeven asked to direct, as he had just made Flesh and Blood from 1985 for Orion. He also adopted the fast editing pace from The Terminator, and contrary to that movie, the studio announced it in a wide marketing campaign. Credit IMDb. Yeah. I don't know. But
Very
I mean,
interesting.
we're talking about, in terms of like being inspired by The Terminator, you've also got a big buff robot guy. It's just styled different.
Yeah, he's way in the movie way more than you see the actual exoskeleton Terminator.
Yeah. Who do you think would win in a fight, the Terminator or RoboCop?
The RoboCop, if it's just one
Like,
T-100 or whatever.
right, like it's just one T-800 and one RoboCop. Who takes it?
Yeah, the
RoboCop.
RoboCop kicks his ass.
RoboCop kicks that shit up and down the street.
Oh yeah, if it's just one-on-one,
Dude, it's a
we don't have
stomp.
Skynet or dystopia going on. Yeah,
Oh, it's a
he's whooping the shit out
stomp.
of him.
It's a stomp, bro. It's crazy how much
That
that
thing
thing
is
stomps.
so slow. It just has like that one plasma cannon. RoboCop's got reflexes.
RoboCop's tanky as fuck. Uh, he's.
You
I
know what
mean,
the difference is?
what's the difference?
It's RoboCop's from when we used to make things in this country.
Hell yeah, bro. He's from Detroit.
Yeah, he is
Made in
Motor City,
America,
baby.
motherfucker.
I had to sneak it in.
Thank you for doing that. Anyway, so final thoughts on RoboCop?
Uh, I, it's at least a 6. You talked me
Oh, I
into
talked
it.
you up to a 6. Okay. Well, thank goodness. I'm glad. Yeah, definitely like a 9 out of 10 for me.
Dude, you're ridiculous.
But
I can't wait to get into this tier list
I was
now.
about to say, speaking of ranking movies, we're going to be talking about uh our next bit that we're doing right here. So previously on the show, we did the first, like, we've now officially covered 20 movies. We just did the first 10 god, weeks ago. It was like a couple months. Has it been 2 months now? 10 movies, like 2.5 months.
You tell
or something?
me.
I couldn't tell you. But we did the first 10 movies, ranked them, and then now that we have put another 10 under our belt, we are going to rank those 10. So let's go ahead and switch things over. Doo-doo. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the original tier list that we did whenever we covered our first 10. We had Raiders of the Lost Ark in S tier, followed by Terminator, followed by Die Hard. In the A tier, we had Predator, followed by Speed, followed by First Blood. Then we had Beverly Hills Cop in the B tier, followed by Demolition Man. And in the C tier, we had Fast and the Furious, followed by Mad Max 2. I will try and go in the order in which we cover the movies. So let me pull up my shit. All right, number 11 in the Action Jack-Offs library is going to be The Running Man. Where do you think The Running Man ranks? If you can remember, it's been so long. C. I think I would put it above Mad Max 2. What do you think?
I'll let you get this one early.
You gonna give it to me? I don't think it's as good as
I'm
Fast
gonna
and the
let you have it.
Furious.
I'm gonna be generous.
I don't think it's as good as Fast and Furious, but I think it's better than Mad Max 2.
That's fair. I'll agree with you on that.
Up next is Make sure I'm not missing anything. Up next is Aliens. That's gotta be.
It's got to be S.
Is
It's
that
got to be
S?
S, right?
Do you think it's better than Predator?
I think so.
Okay. We'll go S.
Yeah,
Now, do you think it's now we
I
got?
think so. I think the Z.
Do you think it's better than Alien? I'm sorry. Do you think it's better than Die Hard?
Yeah,
Really? Okay. Do you think it's better than
I think
Terminator?
so.
Do you think it's better than Terminator?
I think it's is Aliens better than Terminator?
That's the question here. Because you're talking about two of the all-time
No, it's about
James
as good
Cameron
as
movies.
Terminator.
Okay, I'll put it right behind Terminator. I will put it right behind Terminator. Good place to put it. I mean, that's like you're
I
talking
agree
about two of the best James Cameron movies ever.
and he
Terminator.
just prints money.
He prints money with the. I mean, he hit big with Terminator and Aliens, so it doesn't surprise me that they're right next to each other. Um, Hard Target, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I don't know why I said it like that.
It's a really bad movie, but it did so well for us.
It's done well for we. It's been good to us. It's been good to us.
It's been our most popular video ever. So I mean, it got to go a little bit higher, but it's like right behind or right in front of Mad Max.
Uh, yeah, I gotta say that in terms of like
It's
movies,
up to you on this one.
it's not as good as Running Man, but I think it's not as good as Mad Max 2. So I think I'd have to put it behind Mad Max 2.
I agree. I was leaving it up to you. I would have put it as far back as we can.
Well, the thing is like I feel like we pick on
But I
Mad.
also it did so nice.
I think we pick on Mad Max 2 a little bit too much. It's really not a bad movie, but like it's lumped together with like
It's not.
these other
But out of
movies.
all of the movies we've covered,
Like Hard Target, I think you can make a case that it's actually D tier, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
no.
Up next is iRobot. That's like a B tier.
Yeah, B or C.
B or C. I think it's like a.
I'm fine with B though.
I think it's a fine B. I think it's after. I think it comes after Demolition Man in the B tier.
That's all right.
Deep Blue Sea.
I'll let you have this one.
That's gonna be a
you
big.
place that wherever
That's
you
gonna be
want.
a big fat D tier for me, buddy.
Go for it. Hey,
That's
I'd put it in front of the C tier, but I'm gonna let you have this because you did
it's not an
not
action movie.
like it.
One, it's not an action movie. Two, it's not a very good movie in the first place on its own. So it has to hit the D tier for me. That's D tier dog shit. That's D for dog shit.
There we go.
Let me bring it back.
Remember
let me,
this.
Let me reel it in. Up next is Transformers.
B.
B. I mean, I have similar feelings about Transformers as I do about iRobot. Do you think it goes in front of iRobot? Do you think it goes in front of Demolition Man? Do you think it goes behind or in front of Beverly Hills Cop? Because when we rewatched it,
right in.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say right behind Beverly Hills Cop.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say like when we rewatched it, I realized I liked it a lot more than I remembered liking it.
That's what I felt like too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that I was like that still hits so hard.
Yeah, it slaps. That movie slaps.
Bernie Mac, that's legendary.
4,000. 4,000. I hope.
Man, don't act like that. I'll bust your head open with a rock.
I hope anybody watching does not get the reference. It's so funny.
I hope so too.
Up next is Hellboy. Damn, dude, Hellboy's a good movie. I think that goes either that's B tier in front of Beverly Hills Cop, or that's A tier behind First Blood. What do you think?
I'm gonna put that in front of Beverly Hills Cop.
Okay. Doesn't quite crack A for you.
Because I like No, I like it a lot, but it's not quite good enough to be up there.
Okay. Up next is The Mummy.
It's gotta be A, right?
That's gotta be A, doesn't it? I love it. I told you
Gotta
this.
at least be in the back.
It's in the back. It's in the back A.
Yeah,
It's in
because
my
it's iconic.
it's in my top 10. We in the movie in the video I did on the top 10 favorite 90s action movies. It was in the top 10. So
It's got a lot going for it.
it really does, and we both unanimously like it. So instead of hitting something like the B tier, it hits the A tier, which is like my rationale.
No, for sure.
Blade is next. Dude, that's got to be A tier.
It's gotta be. I love it.
It's so good. I think it's better than The Mummy, though.
Hey, hey, buddy, some motherfuckers are still trying to ice skate uphill.
Oh shit. Good shit. Good shit. Honestly, dude, I'm not gonna lie. I think I like Blade more than I like First Blood.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I wouldn't say it's better than Speed, but it's pretty fucking good.
No, it's pretty good though.
It's pretty.
It's pretty
good.
great.
It's so good. And then last but not least, we have RoboCop, the newest addition to the tier list.
Put it at the back of C.
Fuck you. Behind
Fuck you.
Hard Target?
Fine, put it in front of Hard Target.
You're so out of your mind. RoboCop is not C tier. That's high.
Hey.
If I'm going based off that, that's high B tier at least. Like, I want to put it in A tier, but I'm willing to meet in the middle here and put it in B tier.
No.
You're gonna fight me on this? You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
It's gotta
I've been so good to you this whole time.
Oh my god. Okay, at least put it in the front.
I've been going, yeah, you can have it. Hey. What's in the front right now?
Fast and Furious.
It's definitely behind Fast and the Furious.
No, it's not. You're out of your mind. You're crazy.
I'd way rather watch Fast and the Furious 10 times before I've ever watched Robocop again. Okay.
Don't think about what you'd rather watch. Think about what you think is objectively a better movie. Like a well-made movie. It's just a movie that's well put together. RoboCop is a way better put together movie.
I like tuna fish sandwiches and racing cars, dude.
Don't do this to me, Lincoln. Don't do this to me, please. I'm already letting you put it in C tier, dog. I'm already letting you put one of the greatest action movies of all time in C tier. Please put
it right behind Fast and the Furious.
Don't do this. Don't do this. I'm gonna
Fine. You can put it in front of.
Yes.
Put it in front of Fast and the Furious.
I'm still.
It's staying in C though.
It still pains me to put it in C tier. That's so out of this world. It's so out of this world.
It's just not that good.
That's one of the craziest takes I've ever seen in my life. Who are you?
It's just not as good as all those other. It's barely better than Fast and the Furious.
Oh my god. Well, anyway, that's dog shit. That's so dog shit. I hate you. I can't believe you got away with that.
Fine, put it at the back of B.
No, I'm not even. No, it's not even. No, we're not doing that. I don't want you to. I don't want you to pity fuck me.
That's why it's our ranking system. It's not just yours.
I know. I had to fight tooth and nail for that though. Where are we at? All right, so here's.
I fought for Fast and the Furious to be where it's at.
Yeah, I know. All right, so we're on the picker wheel now.
That was. So it's funny that we're fighting tooth and nail to at least get some of our movies on C.
Oh, I know. It's so lame. All right, so we're on the picker wheel. We've got Lethal Weapon, Point Break, Roadhouse, Yojimbo, Resident Evil, and Police Story. Are we good with those picks, or do you want to add anything?
1 second.
Okay.
Damn it. No. I tried to look up something funny, but it doesn't count.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not gonna add anything because I feel like every time I add something, that ends up being the pick. So I'm just gonna spin what we got.
Heard.
And we have. Oh, cool! It's Yohimbo.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. Finally made it onto the list.
We're finally doing it. An old classic.
Let's actually see here if this is even like available somewhere.
1961.
It's on
It's on
Max.
Max.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Action adventure. This is going to be the oldest action movie we've done.
A nameless ronin or samurai with no master enters a small village in feudal Japan where two rival businessmen are struggling for control of a local gambling. Taking the name, I'm not going to butcher that, the ronin convinces both silk merchants, not going to butcher their names either, to hire him as a personal bodyguard, and then artfully sets in motion a full-scale gang war between the two ambitious and unscrupulous men. Sounds fire.
Sounds great. Sounds badass. I can't wait to do it. So yeah, that's gonna be it.
Here we go.
It's gonna be it from us. Any final words before we head out, Lincoln?
Live long and prosper.
All right. Well, that's gonna be it from us, guys. Hope you have a good day, and we will see you later. Bye bye.
Peace.